We have been running a series on dealing with the problems from the roots, and because we have basically gone over time, I'm going to try and keep this really short. But in Matthew 15 and Mark 11, we know that, God was saying that, listen, it's not what goes into a man's mouth that defiles a man, but it's what comes out of his heart that defiles the man. Because you can eat food that are contaminated or, dirty, as we use that word. It goes in and it comes out. But what comes out of the man's mouth, which comes from the heart, things like theft and adultery and anger and hate, and all of these things, these are the things that defiles a man. And that's why we've been spending time talking about dealing with the problems from the roots, because most of the problems we have out here are actually start from the inside. But if we can look deep into our hearts and begin to pull the problems from the roots, I tell you this, you don't have to spend your whole lifetime cutting branches. You can actually uproot the tree by just pulling it from the roots. Also in Matthew 23, the Bible talks to us about how we need to clean the cup by cleaning it from the inside. And I know that many of us, if you look at a cup, you can just say that the cup represents your life, your marriage, your kids, just your family. But sometimes, and I know that this happens to all of us, we have so many problems surrounding our lives. And rather than, dealing with the problems from where it all starts, we're dealing with it outwardly. But Jesus said, if you want to have a clean dish or clean cup, you've got to clean that cup from the inside. And so we've spent a couple of weeks talking about how we need to deal with the problems from the inside so that once it's dealt with, it is gone forever, because you are dealing with the cause, not the symptoms. You're dealing not with the branches, but the roots. And you're dealing with the problems from where it really starts. Now, I've been sitting down with some of the members of this church in many settings, some for premarital counseling, some for, just catching up and seeing how they're doing. And they said that this message has really helped, brought families closer together. And this is family members that actually have not spoken to each other for years because of some problems that happens within the families. But they've taken the message and they call family meetings. And for one of them, he said this, that it was a real challenge when he first, decided to do this for his mom and dad and the siblings. But he felt from God that he needs to do it. And then, to his surprise, the whole family got together. There was huggings and weeping and crying and apologizing that went on in that room. It was so powerful. And he said now, after many years of just getting together, but no conversation, no connection, no talking, they're like best friends. They're like talking like they never talked before. Why? Because they were together before, but there were things unseen that was causing fracture and division in a relationship. And that's what God is saying to our church, that we need to deal with the problems from the roots, because we can all come to church and be smiling at each other and hug each other here at church. But inside, there are little things, some of them just little things that could be dividing us, and it can even cause us to be uncomfortable around each other. But the principles of dealing with the problem from the roots, I really believe it is so powerful. It is how God deals with our problems. He gets right to the juggernauts. And it's hard to deal with the problem from the roots, because you actually have to mount up a lot of energy to actually admit. It's not easy to admit that you're wrong, or you hated somebody, or I wanted to kill you, or, I cursed you in my prayer. I actually wanted you to die. It's hard. But to live a liberated life, to live a free life, you've got to be honest. Did you know that digging around this area of the problem by the roots requires honesty and transparency and a whole lot of humility? A whole lot of humility. Listen, if you want your marriage to continue to be spiced by grace and salt and good things, and that's why many men have gone out and start looking at other women, because it's like, I'm falling out of love with my wife. That is a lie. There's so much about that woman. You just didn't take the time to dig deep to find out that there's stuff about that woman that God has given to her that will take you forever to understand, to learn, to exhaust the deep resources that God has given to a man and a woman. But the reason why we're not talking is because we've got issues. The reason why we're not dating anymore and rather than just having surface dates, because we have issues that we don't want to talk about. And that's why you don't want to continue to live your life pretending like you're free when you know in your heart you got stuff in here that needs to come out so that you're free with your, between you and your wife, husband, wife, kids. You take that to your workplace, and also you can also take the same principle and apply it to your relationship even here in the church. In life, really, you just got to be free. You know, when you let people go, you are actually taking charge of your own life, because if you have issues against people, they control you. They control your emotion. That's why you sleep at night and you're thinking about that person who you have things against. And I'm like, what a waste of time spending your night thinking about somebody else that's living on the other side of the world. Why don't you just let the person go from the heart? Forgive, call the person up and say, hey, Mike, for the last 5 years, but tonight, I just want you to know that I forgive you, and you know, and please be honest with them about what happened, because you can just gloss over the issues, but I want you to, Jesus wants us to be honest. You know what? You know what he's looking for? Truth in the innermost part of us. When truth is here, it sets people free. Truth is not white lies. It's just, well, I'm sorry. For what? And you think just saying that is going to set you free? Listen, even if it's a half truth, it's still a lie. A little white lie is still a lie. And can I say this to all the men, because I'm a man? Our wives are actually wired by God with some supersonic discerning capability. They can smell you from a distance. They know when you're lying. My wife have done that to me, and I can't lie around her anymore. I thought I could get away, but she's giving me those looks like, really? Yeah, well, you know, and I'm trying to mix it up, remix, new renditions. Doesn't work. They know when you're lying, and they know when you're telling the truth. Might as well tell the truth. But what if it's going to break up my marriage? What if it's going to rebuild your marriage? But why live a lie for the rest of your life trying to please that woman, and there's a little grain of lies in there that one day is going to blow up in your face? Live by the truth. Truth hurts, but it's very liberating. Truth is hard, but it bears great fruits. That's why we've got to live by the truth. That's why we come to church, because we want truth. Why? Our God is the God of truth. I'm the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes unto the Father except through me, right? I will know the truth, and the truth will set me free. My word is truth. I am truth. My spirit is the spirit of truth. I tell you, if you live by the truth, nobody can blame you for anything, because you are pure and your integrity is intact. And I'm not saying that you have to live a perfect life. I know all of us have got our stuff. I know all of us got our issues. But why continue to hide in pretense and falsehood? Just tell the truth. Because I know some secrets as a pastor. They confess to me their secrets. But it is not my job to go and, you know, blast it here and there. I'm just a rubbish bin for them to empty their issues. But then I said, well, I'm glad that you're free, that you're telling me, but have you told her? What if it's going to break the family? Well, might as well say it, man. I'd rather you live by the truth than live a lie for the rest of your life. Amen? Got to clean the cup from the inside. Stop pretending. Days of pretense are over. And stop pretending with God. I'm sorry to say this, but we are so good at pretending. We all have done that. But to continue to live a life of liberty and freedom, it's time to live by the truth and nothing but the truth. So you go to court of law and say, put your hands on the Bible. Swear this. I will tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. I'll tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help me God. And then go on a stand and lie until you're blue in the face. Mom and Dad, we got truth liberates. It's the only essence that gives birth to true liberation is truth. That's all it is. And that's really my message in this series. God wants to clean us, and He loves us so much that He's coming to the bottom of the barrel and He says, start cleaning up from down the bottom. And stop pretending anymore. Now, I want to do this for 10 minutes. I did promise you that I'm going to talk about the mind. And so we've been dealing with the hearts, but I feel God is saying deal with the minds too. Because our minds is so full of many things that we've got to start opening up our minds so that Jesus can do some incision and surgery in our minds. Amen? So I'm going to talk to you about our mental state. God says in the Bible, I can give you a new heart and a new mind. So while you're working to clean your heart, well, submit your brain to God too and say, clean this brain. Because He wants to give us a new heart and a new mind. So the mind consists of this. Write this down. It consists of our will, our emotion, our intellect, our reasoning, and also our memory. How many of you here have got some bad memory? Every time you pray, you always think about all the nasty things that you have done and people. And you know what? If you don't ask God to heal your memory, the enemy will begin to use that memory against you. But that's why it's good that we know that in our mind, we have our will, we have our emotion, we have our intellect, our reasoning, and also our memory. But if we don't bring this mind to God and say, God, can you order my mind? Can you liberate my mind? Can you free my mind? Can you just do something with this very complicated system called the mind? And it's got all these compartments, and all these compartments have many different things to itself. We call it the faculties of the mind. So your mind is not just one lump of thing that we see on the screen. Your mind is actually multi-compartmental compartments. It's compartmentalized. And that's why if you don't have God to heal your will will lead you the wrong way. Your emotion. And some of us, we just cry all the time. And sometimes you don't even know why you're crying. Can you save your tears for, when you should shed it? Don't just shed it now. Save it for, save it for the right occasion. The right occasion comes, you run out of tears. Our intellect, some of us, we're boast of the fact that we're intellectual, but I have met some intellectually stupid people, you know that? I've met a lot of intellectually stupid people. They're so intellectual that they even start to ask questions about God. They're like, listen, submit your intellect to God so that God will give you a sane mind, right? And reasoning and memory. Now, why do many Christians have mental problems? Why is it that this mental problem or mental disease or mental disorder, which is really the mind not functioning the way it should, and it's just all wired up wrong, and you're sleeping but you can't really sleep because things are going on in here, and you're going to work and things are going on in here, and you're coming to church and you're coming to God, and we assume that just because you give your life to Christ that your mind is absolutely liberated. I tell you this, it doesn't. It takes some work. It takes some work for God to work on the different compartments of your mind and heal it and restore it and make it fully functioning. Ha! Did you know that you are a genius? If you submit this thing to God and let Him breathe upon it and let Him redeem and restore it, you can figure things out. And you don't have to go to school to be a genius because you are born a genius. That's what I'm telling my kids. I say, you guys are genius. Well, some of them believe. But my little one, she really believes it. I said, you know what? I study in the Bible that we're actually born genius. But it's just for us to bring our mind. But why is it this mind that should be a genius, be able to figure things out and plan things out and guide you in life? Why is it that we're having so much problem with it? Why is there so much mental disease and mental disorder in the church today? I mean, don't worry about the world because they're already struggling with mental disorder and disease. But why in the church? Let me give you a definition of this. What is mental disorder or disease? Mental illness is any disease or condition that influences the way a person thinks, starting with the thinking, feels, I love that, behaves, relate to others, and to his or her own environment. How many of you can relate to that? Mental problem is anything in our mind that influences the way the person thinks and feels, because whatever a man thinks, so is he. If the mind is not working the way it should work, it affects the way you relate to people, the way you carry yourself, the way you walk, the way you do things. It affects your whole entire system. And it's great to have a good heart and a pure heart, but you got to also have a new mind. And it says here, all the symptoms of mental illness can range from mild to severe and are different depending on the type of mental illness. A person with untreated mental illness often is unable to cope with life's daily routines and demands. How many of you have seen that some people have gone into depression, have gone into serious, severe anxiety because the mind is just killing them? This mental sickness and disorder is causing people to lock themselves up in their rooms when you should be out there driving on the road in your nice car with a smile on your face. Something in here is saying to you, you are so ugly, you are not worth anything. And if you go out there, the whole world is smiling at you and think that you are weird. Have you ever had a spell of depression? Have you ever gone through that? Let me give you what some of the common words that they're using today to describe mental illness and mental disorder. Number one, depression. Number two, anxiety. Severe case, bipolar. Next one's mood swings. Elvis Presley sang a song and he said, Moody Blues. That was the song. And one of my favorite songs. And he's singing a song about a woman who's so moody that when it's Monday, she's Tuesday. When it's Tuesday, she's Wednesday. And when it's Wednesday, she's Thursday. And say, you don't even know which day you're going to get when you see her. How many of you have got mood swings, severe mood swings? Swing, swing. I mean, you're smiling today and you're ready to kill your husband tomorrow. How many of you men are actually suffering from that? You're more moody than a wife. Moody blues. Why do we have mood swings? It's the mind. It's not in the right place. It needs to be fixed. What about multiple personalities? You don't even know which one you're talking to now. In the bedroom, she's an angel. In the kitchen, oh man, she's a military woman. I mean, how many of you have met people you're like, wow, how many of you ain't there? That's called the Legion syndrome. Legion, there's so many in there, I don't even know which one I'm talking to right now. When we see these things manifesting out of people, it's not them. They don't want to be like that. It's the mind. And the mind is so confused, so mashed up, that the person has no control of his life. His conduct, his expressions, his speech, his walking, his dealings, his going in, his coming out. He's got no control. Something else is controlling him. Why? Whatever man thinketh, so is he. If this thing here is not fixed by God, you may have a great heart, but a messed up mind will mess you up. Huh? Oh, you're going quiet now. Let me quickly give you some of the courses. Are you enjoying this? Number one is heredity or genetics. These are scientifically proven. Now, let me give you this, and then I'll give you the solution very quickly. And you'll walk home like, wow, we've been enlightened. And hopefully you go home like, oh, no wonder why I've been like that. And you go home and throw away your medication and take another form of medication. Listen, if you don't know what's going on in your mind, the doctors will medicate you with more side effects, and you're going to take another medication for new side effects. Trust me, I study these things. I know. I used to do medical science before I'm preaching the gospel. So when it came up to the subject, I went, that's very interesting. That's what I spent 7 years studying. Maybe I should go back and be a scientist. So, number one cause is mental illness run in a family, suggesting that they may have been passed on from parents to children through genes. So your genes contain instructions for the function of each cell in the body, which is responsible for the way you look, act, and think. How many of you, you're in the midst of a crowd, and you're standing there, and something inside of you is saying, stop looking like that.